Welcome, everyone, to this edition of City Chat with City Magazine. I'm Kilee, Harmon, General Manager of City Magazine, and today we are visiting with Mr. Ken Dykes. Well, hello, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me.
Wave to the camera, say hi to everyone.
Hi there.
I know, it's like nobody there, but there is a camera. They're on the other side. And you are the Executive Director for the Bismarck Cancer Center.
Yes, that's my pleasure and my passion.
And you are our cover person.
That's correct, and I'm really thrilled, very, very humbled and honored, and it's a great magazine, and for me, the joke was always to get my picture on the cover of Rolling Stone, like the song says. And so this is as close as I'll ever get, and by golly, it's good enough.
Oh, well, very good. Well, I'm glad to hear that we're just comparable to Rolling Stone. That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in Bismarck?
Well, I'm an old guy. I've been in healthcare my entire life. I spent most of my career managing hospitals or groups of multiple hospital operations, kind of things. But had reached a point where I was thinking about retiring, and I wanted to do something with lasting value, and was looking for one last hurrah, and got to talking with the folks up here who own the Bismarck Cancer Center, representatives of both St. Alexis and Med Center 1, and by golly, they were interested in building a premier cancer center, and I thought, wow, what a neat way to polish off a really wonderful career in healthcare is to help these folks build a premier cancer center right here in Bismarck. And
so for people who don't know, you said representatives of both. So tell me about that. I mean, because the Bismarck Cancer Center is owned by... That's
correct. It's a really unusual situation in that it's a 50-50 joint venture collaboration between two very intensely competitive and excellent medical centers. I joke that we're like the laundry. We're one of the two things they can really agree on, but every single managerial decision that we make involving the expansion of the center or expenditure of resources has to be agreed to by both parties.
By St. Alexis and Med Center 1.
This is a tremendous example of really a competitive spirit, because Bismarck is a market where we can produce enough patients for one top quality cancer center or two mediocre centers. And the management of both facilities recognized that and wanted to come together and give the community the very best in cancer care.
Is there anything like this out there in other states?
There are some throughout the country that have attempted this kind of model, but most of them aren't nearly as successful as we are here.
Oh, okay.
And Dr. Lambrick and Gary Miller, as the CEOs of the two facilities, are probably premier examples of people who understand what it is to do a collaborative effort for the good of the community.
Very cool.
And, so we're blessed in that regard.
Well, and so tell me, when did the Bismarck Cancer Center start, and when did you come on board?
Well, the center was actually created as a freestanding center in 1999, and the collaborative effort began at that time. I came in 2007, the very beginning of the year. My first week here, we had a minus 40-degree day, and I knew I was no longer in Florida. And
so is that where you came from right prior?
I'm a native Floridian, and I jokingly tell people I came up for the weather, but I was down there visiting recently in the heat of the summer and the humidity, and I was awfully glad to get back home to this beautiful weather like we're having today.
Well, a lot of people always seem to say that Bismarck weather seems like Florida weather, because we'll get that flash, storm sometimes. But anyhow, so because I was wondering if it was Florida or like Texas, because you have more of that southern drawl.
Well, I was one of those kids that, the minute I could leave my hometown and strike out to see the world, I wanted to do that. So I've traveled and lived all over the country and have worked abroad, and so done a lot of things, but still have the drawl and still the Panhandle, Florida roots. So.
Oh, very cool. And the Southern charm, too, to go with it.
Oh, well, thank you.
And so now tell me.
I tell people I'm from Southern Bismarck.
Oh, there you go, Southern Bismarck. I love it. Okay, so now tell me, what is the best part about being the executive director for the Bismarck Cancer Center?
I've got the best job in the world. We have some of the most amazing people that we're fortunate to treat and try to take care of, and we have an excellent group of professionals who see what they do as a calling as opposed to a job. They want to reach out and touch people and really make a difference in their lives. And the people that we are granted the opportunity to provide services to are the most remarkable folks in the world. You see a cancer patient and you expect to be depressed, and actually the opposite is more than almost all the time true, really. You see a person who's literally more concerned with what's happening to their family, what's happening to the people around them. They're more concerned about how you're feeling and doing today than how their own situation is often. They're just uplifting, and we're fortunate that we are able to work with them over a period of weeks. We get to know them and interact with them and just see what truly remarkable and gifted people they are.
So now, what type of cancers do you guys work with most? Or is it just any kind of cancer?
Well, it's generally any kind of cancer. In our case, we're specialized in radiation therapy, so the cancer needs to be the kind of cancer that is treated and responsive to radiation.
Okay.
Now, we work hand in glove with both medical centers and with the doctors in the community who do chemotherapy and surgery and all the other things. So it's a comprehensive approach, a multidisciplinary approach to the treatment of a whole host of cancers. Cancer, as you know, is an interesting disease because it takes on unique characteristics as it attacks a particular body site. Mm-hmm. So it's really a host of kind of different diseases that have a general set of characteristics. And in our case, we're fortunate that we have some very sophisticated technology that is unusual for a community our size.
Oh, very nice.
So we like to think we can pretty much do anything right here in Bismarck that you can get done almost anywhere. And that makes it good, too. I mean, it just... It's a very fulfilling role. I mean, we feel like we're making a positive difference. And
cancer is one of those things where everybody somehow, some way is affected by cancer. If it's not you personally, it's someone that's in your family or a friend that you know. It's just cancer is that all-encompassing, horrible disease that yet there is not a cure for, but hopefully one day. So tell me, how many patients, will you see come through your door in a month's time?
It will vary from month to month depending on the season of the year, but we will see between 30 and 50 patients a day.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a pretty busy center. We're told, by the way, that about 1 out of every 3 people will have some experience with cancer during the course of their lifetime. And as you age,
that's sad.
People my age tend to have one kind of cancer or another at some point. So it's something that unfortunately reaches out and touches almost every family in a very direct and usually dynamic way. Cancer is a pretty horrible disease, and not that any disease that can
is not horrible, but it
isn't horrible. But this one not only attacks you physically, emotionally, it attacks your spirit. And I think the people who are in the worst situation, who are cancer victims, are those who no longer have hope or who somehow have allowed their spirit to be eroded by the disease process.
Kind of given up.
So part of what we have to do is to keep in touch with just a positive outlook and to keep hope in their lives. And we, of course, we have a lot of wonderful new tools and a lot of advances in the science involved in the treatment. So we're very fortunate that it keeps getting better and better, but we still haven't conquered it yet.
Well, in one day, and I mean, now we talked about cancer patients, and you yourself have been diagnosed with cancer and
That's true.
are now a survivor, correct?
That's correct. When I talk about cancer patients and their survivorship, I like to talk about thrivership because there's a difference. You can survive a lot of things, but the state of mind and the quality of life you have after you've survived it is not always as good as it ought to be. But we're fortunate in that we have the opportunity to work with people and to actually make them not just simply survivors but thrivers. The length of and quality of life after a cancer diagnosis today is really remarkably good, especially if you look where we've been the last 20 or 25 years.
Yeah,
it used to be just a death sentence, but now most patients are going to recover. They're going to have a period of really quality life available to them, and in some cases, will survive the cancer and never have to worry about it again.
Now, what type did you have?
Excuse me. I was one of the lucky lottery winners who had colorectal cancer.
Okay.
And interesting story, I was one of those people, never been sick a day in my life. I guess I had my tonsils out when I was a little kid, and other than that, I'd never been in a hospital except to work in one.
Oh, no.
And I thought I was indestructible. And I noticed that there were some changes in my bowel habits, and I'm in the business. But I thought, denial is not a river in Egypt. It's alive and well with each of us. And I thought, well, that must be a little blood there. That must be hemorrhoids. I mean, there's got to be an explanation for that that's not bad. And then I was sitting in a conference one day, and one of our doctors was talking about symptoms and that you ought to go in and have the scopes done and this, that, and the other. And I'd always thought, well, I don't need to do that. But then I thought, well, maybe I ought to do that.
Just in case.
Just in case. So I did. And when I was awakened from the procedure, I was told, well, you have a cancer. It's grown into the wall of your intestine and through the wall. And so then in the course of the next 2 or 3 days, I discovered it affected the lymph nodes outside the intestine in that general area, that it had also had spread into my liver.
Oh, no.
And so I had a stage 4 colon cancer. And,
Stage 4, and you survived.
And I survived.
Not only survived, but thrived.
But thrived. And, and I think I'm a good example of somebody who probably had the tremendous odds against me. But because of the medical science, because of the people who reached out to me and cared for me, many of whom are in this community. I'm sitting here today. I'm 3 years out.
So you were diagnosed right after you became the executive director.
What a situation.
I know.
What a great place to be if you got to have cancer.
Exactly.
I was certainly at a place where all the right people were there, and I was given just not only wonderful care, but people actually reached out to me in very personal and loving ways to help me through the process. And that's what I want to see happen. It's kind of like having seen that cloud from both sides now. I've been a healthcare provider my entire life, but within the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned what it's like to be on the other side of the table. And the system that we use isn't always the most pleasant and patient-centered as it ought to be. So one of the things we've tried to do at the center, particularly since I've discovered this, I always thought I was very compassionate, but now